right, fire it up. Let's do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
That's fine. Take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. Good luck to you.
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here. Brett, be affirmative. You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times on the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah! 11 got it.
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys.
And welcome back to Racing in the Draft. I have no earthly idea if this is working or if my sound's working or if it's too loud or anything because, yeah, I had to reset my computer completely, hard drive and all, this week, and it's been an adventure, to say the least. And I was like, oh, I think I still have the program for my OBS streaming software. And then I couldn't find it, so then I downloaded it, and then missing a bunch of stuff and having to re-download all sorts of things. But either way, let me know if it sounds too loud, too quiet, any of the above. And I appreciate you tuning in. My name is Mark. Welcome to Racing in the Draft. If you're new here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you have been here before, make sure you hit the like button. Share with anyone else that you think might need it, and make sure you hit me up in the chat with any thoughts or questions. I'm sure there are lots of thoughts and questions about after what we saw in the practice session and qualifying session from earlier today. Because even though we had a race just like this a year ago that looks to be very similar, I still don't know really what to make of it. Either way, before we do that, though, let's head back to Darlington, where Denny Hamlin gets the win. Yeah, didn't quite have that one fully on my radar, even though he's actually pretty good there. He did have 4 wins, now has 5. Is now 11th overall or 10th overall in most wins in the Cup Series. So congratulations to Denny Hamlin. Let's take a look at the optimal lineup, though, from Darlington, because that did turn out very, very close to where I thought it was, and Denny Hamlin didn't even make the optimal lineup. Now, he did really well. He had 52.65 points, which is about what we needed to at least make the top 15, and real close to what we thought would be the optimal line. In my thoughts last week when going through the new the new screen that I had created on what the points needed to be and how much the more expensive drivers and the points that they needed to get did turn out to be just about right. And my prediction of having a lot of expensive guys, well, actually, I thought it was going to be 3 expensive guys and then 3 lower priced, but it ended up being 4, which we did see last year in one of the 2 races. I can't remember which one it was. But it pretty much turned out almost exactly the same way. But how about William Byron leading 243 of the 297 laps? Just absolute domination as long as he had clean air. Once he did not have the clean air anymore, it did not turn out quite as well for William Byron. Even though he did come back to rally and finish in second, he still had 140.45 points. Doubled up anybody, even the next closest, Ryan Blaney, at 66 points. So really good on William Byron. Did not think he would dominate as well as he did, but we had long green flag runs and he was able to maintain track position throughout the day. So good on William B. Didn't quite get the victory he was looking for, but Denny Hamlin got that one. Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, all four of the drivers that I thought could potentially have a decent race, especially Christopher Bell coming from 17th for at least DraftKings. He ended up getting a top three, which I was actually a little bit surprised with. But Ty Dillon and Shane Van Gisbergen both were on my radar of guys that I thought might end up having good days. They've had good days there in the past, and once again, that came to fruition. Other drivers that ended up not quite making the optimal lineup, but still had very good points day. Ross Chastain starting in 25th. Thought that would turn out pretty well. Denny Hamlin, I thought might be one of the drivers that would lead a lot of laps in the beginning or the middle of the race. And he ended up only leading 10 laps. And it happened to be the 10 most important laps there at the end. My guy, Kyle Larson. Oh boy. That was a quick end to a day. On lap 4, racing next to Joey Logano, and decides to take himself out of the race. And then, again, at the end of the race, decided to kind of take himself out. I understand going back out, but I don't understand going back out. I know they were trying some different things, but come on. All right, so our optimal lineup challenge now. After 8 races, Christopher Bell now has a 1-point lead over everyone else in 4 of 8 races. He has finished in the optimal lineup. 50% of the time, Christopher Bell's there, so definitely somebody to keep aware of. And a whole host of drivers at 3. Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Preece, William Byron, all with 3. And then you can see the rest there below. All right, we are headed to Bristol. Food City 500. NASCAR, the fans, the drivers, everybody had been screaming that the short track package was awful with this new next-gen car. Absolutely. I was right there with them. Then last spring comes along, and NASCAR Goodyear takes a really soft tire to Bristol. Okay. Practice was pretty tame, to be perfectly honest, in last year's practice. We didn't really. I mean, we knew that the tire wear was happening, but did not show itself as to being as extreme. Now we also were only doing 20-minute practice sessions. People were working on setups, so it wasn't as apparent. Where this year, I think drivers had an idea that the tire wear might be high, so they stayed out for a while. And oh boy, did the tire wear show up by lap 15 and by lap 20. And the reason is because of the colder, cooler weather in Bristol. I think during practice the high temperature was 45 degrees. That's a chilly day for a racetrack. The tire was wearing like it was supposed to, but the rubber was not adhering to the cold concrete. Where in the fall last year we had an 80-degree race even at night. So when the tire started wearing, it wore into the surface of the concrete, which gave a little more traction, which gave a little less tire wear. Now with the cooler temperatures, the track's not taking the rubber, it's just what they call marbling, and it's these little pieces of rubber. I mean, 2, 3, 4 inches long. A lot of times they kind of have more like worms than they do marbles. But they come off the tire and they bounce around. And a lot of times they end up going out of the groove, but it never lets the groove rubber in, which then creates more tire wear, which then creates more tire wear. And you end up with this big bunch of black marbles, as they call it, or black worms, across the top of the track or on the bottom of the track, and the main groove stays clean. Well, with a fresh, brand new tire, your speeds can be extremely fast because you have a ton of grip, but the problem is it's literally running as most of the time say it's like running on a cheese grater, which it is. It's literally just grating the rubber right off the tire. After 35 laps, we had cars that had to stop practice 15 minutes into the practice session of a 25-minute practice session because they only get one set of tires for practice and one set for qualifying. And they literally were down to the cords on the tires in 35 laps. The most we saw in practice for today was 41 total laps of practice. We actually got to that many last year and just barely started to see some cording on a couple of tires, and everybody was like, oh, well, maybe their air pressures were off, maybe their setup was a little bit off because other people had tire wear, but nothing to that extreme. And we didn't see it be that extreme in the race until we really got to, about lap 45, lap 50, lap 55, and then they were cording and became a massive handful. Well, you can make it adjustments. Number one, as a driver, you are a little bit easier getting into the corners. You brake a little bit sooner. You let off the throttle a little bit sooner. You don't gas up coming out of the corner quite as soon. And you try to not be in the gas or in the brake as you're turning the wheel and just letting things kind of flow evenly on the banking instead of being aggressive and having the car slide around very much. And that will cause less tire wear. You can also set the car up a little different. You can make it a little softer, a little stiffer. Depending on if it's tight or loose, you can do air pressure adjustments and bump up the air pressures or lower the air pressures. It gets a little riskier at that point. And then there's other mechanical things that the crew and engineers can come up with to help with that. Because we did see by the end of the race last spring, the cars were able to run 65, 70, 75 laps before they were at the cords on the tires. Luckily enough, Goodyear made a good enough tire where it wasn't popping the tire. It's just they had little to no grip. And I didn't save any pictures, but the cording of a tire literally is what it sounds like. If you've ever had a tire that was not properly aligned on your road car, and you can actually see these little threads, steel belts coming through where it was misaligned. That's what's happening with these cars. And when you're trying to get grip, well, a steel belt does not give you grip on a concrete track, especially with the horsepower and the speeds that these guys are running. So let's look at last year's temperatures for practice and for the race. So this box here is Saturday the 16th, which was the day practice happened. And they were running 62 to 65 degrees during practice and qualifying. Then we come along to the race, which was March 17th, and they were running 59 to 62, 61 degrees throughout the race. And it did drop towards the end back almost down to 55. Well, green flag tomorrow is a little after 3 o'clock, so at 4 o'clock tomorrow, the high temperature is supposed to be 59 degrees. We're really kind of pinpointing exactly what the temperatures were last year for this race. The conditions are going to be very, very similar. I expect to see very, very extreme tire wear. Once again, these crew chiefs, these engineers, these drivers will make adjustments, but we will still have extreme tire wear. 50 to 55 laps is going to be probably max on these tires. If somebody's really good, like a Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Josh Berry is one of the more better drivers with really good ability to save tires. And, of course, Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano are also really good. Problem is, qualifying's all over the place. Andrew, good to see you. I need some help, Mark. I had an awful Xfinity. Oh, so did I. Pretty much first off with Xfinity, you had to have Kyle Larson. He led 274 or 275 laps of a 300-lap race. It was a snooze fest, which kind of stinks. But, I'm a Kyle Larson fan, so for what I could watch of it, because I was busy getting the video stuff set up, it was just an absolute domination. Glad nobody was injured in the big wreck early, where Sheldon Creed spun around and Brendan Poole got sideways and literally broke his axle and tire right off of the car. That was a huge wreck. very, very lucky nobody was really hurt from that. But yeah, if you didn't, number one, if you didn't have Kyle Larson, you were done. He had 140.5, 40.6 DraftKings points. And the next closest, I think, was like 60. And at that point, it just became, if you didn't have, I'm pulling up my DraftKings now to see what it looks like. So, 1 second. Yeah, because it was a show. I won't say the first part of the show, but it was a stinky show. To do wipe after that because it just was so boring. All right, now this will have it, and I don't know if this is the actual full optimal because I haven't been able to run everything. But you had Kyle Larson lead 276 laps and had 119 fast laps for 167.55 points in an Xfinity race with only 300 laps. That is absolutely incredible. And I don't think that's optimal by any means. Let's see. It could be optimal, but this has Eckes, Time, Thompson, Williams, and Alfredo. That's probably pretty close. I would have thought there was a couple more people who did better than that. Yeah, he had Allgaier at 60 points. Let's see, can I fix this? Filter, largest. Yeah, Justin Allgaier next at 60. Quapple at 55.6. Brandon Jones at 53. Sammy Smith at 50. I mean, your next cheap guy was Anthony Alfredo at 42 points. Dean Thompson at 41.9. Josh Williams. Yeah, it was a tough one. I had 50% Larson and still did bad. I mean, I guess it all depends on who you. I mean, and the problem was Kyle Larson was $14,000. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry. Had really weird noises coming from the other room. Yeah, I mean, Allgaier was expensive, but Kyle Larson was $14,000. At that point, you had to go and start searching for something less expensive. Where was my Xfinity? Sorry, I'm a mess tonight. It has been just a 3 days of computer heck, to say the least. Bristol, my setups. Yeah, I did not have a good day either. So if that helps you, Andrew, it didn't get any better on this side of the aisle either. Yeah, I mean, you take a lot of pool because he's in the dash for cash. Do you expect, okay, he's just going to bide his time all day, hopefully try to stay on the lead lap, or maybe not go any more than one lap down? And he was kind of doing that. And Dean Thompson, I mean, I don't blame Dean. He was trying to get the lucky dog spot and ends up wrecking Sheldon. Sheldon got sideways and Sheldon held it off the wall and he locked his brakes up. He did everything he was supposed to do. But if you haven't ever driven Bristol, and I've never driven actual Bristol, but I've driven Bristol in iRacing, if you're in the middle of turn 1 or turn 3 and that wreck is happening at the exit of the corner like it was, you don't see them or see where they're at until you have about maybe a 2-second. And I know they've got a spotter, and the spotter, you could hear his audio going, spinners in the middle of the track, spinners in the middle of the track. But by that point, you have 2 seconds to figure out, do I go high, do I go low? And you're doing 120, 130 miles an hour with worn out tires. There was just nothing he could do. I don't know if it was a bad job by a spotter. That thing comes up so fast, and the only reason I can say is because I've done it in iRacing. Somebody wrecks on the front stretch, and you're coming. If you're in the middle of the turn, you literally you just cannot see them because of the way the angle of the car is, the banking, and the A pillar that's on your left side. I mean, you're in the corner so much, and the G forces. And number one, you have to remember, you're trying to worry about the guy behind you, the other guy that's in front of you, and then trying to find a wrecked car. And I know these guys are supposed to be professionals, but I'm telling you, he was lucky that he didn't just hit him head on. So, I mean, I know it was about 4 or 5 seconds afterwards, but you don't know exactly where the wreck is. And the caution at that point, when he started calling it out, had not been thrown. And it had happened, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to lock it down. And he sees him, and he's like, oh, crap, I'm high, he's high. I got to get down low, slam on the brakes, and the rear end comes around. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I had 38% Kyle Larson. Had 48% Sheldon Creed. I mean, he finished almost dead last, if he didn't finish dead last. And I'm right there with you on pool. I had 28%. So yeah, I mean, I had a crap day too. So right there with you. And I'm telling you, tomorrow's setup is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be harder to set up this race than it will be for a super speedway, because we have the potential of high dominators at this track. And I meant to look at this. Let's go look at the spring race from last year. So Denny Hamlin did lead 163 laps, and Ty Gibbs left 137 laps. But the fast laps are better points: 49, 22, 13, 10, 16, 9, 7, 5, 45, 27, 20. Because of the tire wear, I mean, William Byron had 30 fast laps. Bubba Wallace had 6, 13. Cosgralla had 15 fast laps in that race. Josh Berry had 21. The fast laps are spread everywhere. And this is kind of like what you see when you go to a super speedway. Now, it's a little bit more pronounced, but I mean, almost everybody in the field had a fast lap. I mean, Daniel Hemrick was the only driver that didn't have a fast lap. And you only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 drivers that did not lead a lap out of 36. So you had 21 other drivers that led a lap at a track that should be an absolute domination. I mean, the fall race, Kyle Larson leads 462. Now, the fast laps did kind of get spread out amongst everybody, but that's where your sweet spot is. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one to build. There's no doubt about it. This is because we have a lot of variables that are unknown. If all of a sudden the sun comes out a little bit earlier and the track heats up a little bit and we have a typical race and you didn't build lineups for that, I mean, we're going to be out to lunch. Now, the drivers and engineers and crew chiefs are going to be out to lunch too, because they're setting up for, they're probably making what changes they can before the first caution. I will not be surprised if at lap 30 we don't see a competition caution. We haven't had one of those in a long time, but I could see us having a competition caution tomorrow. Just for Goodyear can inspect tires and crews can make any adjustment that they think they might need. All right, so Bristol is a 0.533 mile track with a progressive banking of 26 to 30 degrees in the turn. Massively banked. 500 laps. Dominator points equal a total of 350 Dominator points. Absolutely unreal amount of Dominator points. We will need to target at least 2 drivers for Dominator points. And 2 to have decent finishing positions. They may not need necessarily a ton of place differential or a ton of dominators. But, I mean, you finish third, and I think it's 40 points. Well, if we start to look at our optimal lineups, which we're getting to right here, I mean, so Kyle Larson had 167 in the Xfinity Series today and led 462 laps in the fall of the Bristol race and had 197 laps. Yeah, domination. But if we're looking, we've got beyond the Kyle Larson deal, 66 and 60 for expensive drivers, and then one true dominator. Bubba Wallace had almost 60 because he finished in third. I mean, he did have, 8 spots of place differential and had 21 fast laps. I'm telling you, the fast laps are going to be spread out, especially with the tire wear that's going on. Then the spring race last year with the high tire wear, we had one that gets classified in the dominator spot because he had 163 laps led and 49 fast laps, which was Denny Hamlin. He got 110 points, and he started third and finished first. So not a lot of place differential. It was strictly all dominator and finishing in first. Ty Gibbs went from 19th to 9th and led 137 and 45. And that's what Ty Gibbs did, is he got off sequence from everyone else, except for, I think, Josh Berry for a little bit. And there were a couple of Justin Haley and Kaz Grala got off cycle with Ty Gibbs. And when everybody else was on a little bit of an older tire, they were on fresh tires, and they literally would just roll right past everybody. I mean, it was like they were sitting still. I mean, if you want to go back and watch just a fascinating race, it was absolutely fascinating to watch that Cup race from last year. The other thing was a little bit different was that was before the time change, and they finished in darkness, which was also a little bit different than what we're going to see this time around, because we will finish under sunset. Oh, I forgot spring games were on today. Oh well, God, I had too much going on between the Masters and racing. So yeah, this is going to be a little, but you have John Hunter Nemechek starting 26. You had Alex Bowman starting in 29th that finished both top 10. Ross Chastain 36 to 15th. And we've got kind of a setup for a similar person, kind of like where Ross is starting, in Joey Logano, because he wrecked in qualifying. He didn't tear his car up too much, but Martin Truex Jr. will not be in this race. Now, Martin Truex Jr. was really good about saving his tires. I'm telling you, it's the old, wily veterans that are really good at saving their tires. We don't have a whole lot of them anymore, but the Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano's are going to be guys that definitely want to continue to look at targeting. Josh Berry is extremely good at managing tires. Austin Dillon will be pretty good at managing tires. It's the old, wily veterans that know how to save tires. Or, like I said, Josh Berry, because he came up through the short track ranks. Other drivers that kind of came up through short track ranks. There's more in the Xfinity Series. I mean, that's why I had one of my other good picks out of the Xfinity Series race today was Quapple. Because he came up racing the late models, and you have to save your tires in those tracks. 2022 and 2023, we did not have tire wear. We had really stiff tires, so it's a little bit misleading on how this thing kind of runs. It runs more like the fall 24 race, but you can still kind of see patterns and trends. It's, 3 guys that are going to either dominate or start and finish within the top 10, and then 3 guys with place differential. Kind of the same thing down here. You've got a starting spot of 8th, 10th, 13th, 16th, and they finished 3rd, 7th, 4th, and 13th. But Brett Keselowski led 109 laps. So you got to find the 2 or 3 that you think could potentially lead a lot of laps and have a decent amount of fast laps, along with finishing position, and then a little bit of place differential. Because I mean, when you have 350 points of dominator points on the board, what's 1 point of place differential? I mean, it matters. I get it, but it does not matter near as much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Brad Keselowski lose 3 spots of place differential and still had 77 points. How much is Recchi and John Hunter? How much pricing? I mean, we haven't gotten to the driver-by-driver breakdown. But I could tell you, they're cheap. Cheap. But, I mean, I wouldn't take Recchi even if you were going to pay for the entry. He's just starting way too far up, and he's not that good here. John Hunter's 5,600 and starting in 32nd. That one's actually playable. Stenhouse, I think he's a little more expensive. Ricky Stenhouse is 6,500 and starting outside pole. Now, he was fast, and he was good in practice, but he's not consistently good here. We'll get to them in just a few minutes. But you wanted to know how much they were, 6,500 and 5,900 or something. But I could see taking some John Hunter. I cannot, and I will not advise taking Stenhouse. If he's 4% owned tomorrow, I'll be absolutely amazed. It's not a good spot for him, especially with this massive tire wear issue, and he's not known for having good tire wears. So where people start and where they finish, this is kind of gives us a little bit of an idea on the bottom end of a top 15 DraftKings point total, and it's right in that 36 point spot. So when we get to our driver-by-driver breakdown, we'll get to where the calculator kind of puts them and where we think he may or may not finish and how many laps he may or may not lead. I think it kind of helped me out a little bit last week, but we're kind of sitting in that 36 point spot is really the sweet spot on getting a top 15 in DraftKings points. And that's realistically who you want to target. Are the guys that you think can honestly be in the top 15 in the point total. Now, of course, anything happens. I mean, Sheldon Creed should have finished a lot better today, but he got wrecked and got totaled. And that was his day, and that hurt my DraftKings. I would still, I mean, knowing what happened, I would not run him again. But if I didn't know what happened, I would still run him. He had a decent amount of place differential. His practice speeds were okay. And he was going for $100,000. No reason not to. But the majority in bulk are coming from, realistically, 1st through 20th. You got 5.6 that are coming 1 through 10, and 5 that are coming from 11 through 20. Then it just falls off a cliff, 21 to 30. And this is why I say place differential really does not make, it makes a difference, but it's not a huge difference. 21 through 30 starting spots, only 2.6 of the 15 come from there. And once you get past 31st, it's only 1.8 make the top 15. And it's not even that they make the top, the optimal. We go back and look at the optimal. Todd Gillen started in 30th. Well, that's not 31st. Nobody in 31st here made the optimal lineup. Nobody past 27th made the optimal lineup. And the only one was in the spring of last year, and it was Ross Chastain. So, I mean, out of the 4 optimal lineups, nobody starting 31st or worse even made the optimal lineup. So, just kind of a trend. All right, Bristol. So Denny Hamlin, 11,100, most expensive driver in DraftKings this week. For good reason. He's won the last 2 races. This is actually one of his better tracks. He won here in the spring last year and finished in 4th in the fall race. So what this page looks like. The last 5 races here at Bristol, 2021, 22, 23, because they had the dirt races in the spring. These are all fall races. Then we had the 2 last year. And this down here correlates with these races. So in those 5 races, Denny Hamlin has 2 wins, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. So all 5 of these races, he's finished in the top 10. Of course, 5 top 20s. 79.4 Draftkings average, 4.8 average finish, and his average running position was 5.9. Very, very good stats. 35 total starts at Bristol with 4 wins and a 13th place average finish. He finished 4th in the fall race last year, which correlates to this last race, and then the full history. All right, his practice speeds. He was in Group 2. Now, the grouping kind of didn't matter because the track was too cold and the rubber never took to the track. They were able to make a little bit of an air pressure before they went out adjustment based on Group 1 practice, but since there was no rubber being laid down, the speeds were not far off from each other. And when you're running 15-second lap times, it's kind of hard to differentiate anyways. But there are some differences, such as Kyle Larson probably was he was the fastest long-run speed car in practice. Now his consecutive laps, this runs out to lap 15. And then the average runs out to about lap 22. But Kyle Larson, you can see here in this kind of yellow, I think it's yellow. And then this white-ish color is the average. And then Denny Hamlin kind of runs in between. He's got 1 lap that kind of goes up, but then he kind of comes back where you can see actually he probably was saving some tires or found some speed either on the upper groove or maybe on the lower groove that he hadn't found before. But pretty consistent, pretty good speeds. I'm not going to, because of the way the tires were wearing, 1 blip, I'm not that worried about. Usually if I see 3, 4, 5 of these blips, and there's a couple of drivers that have it, that's when I get concerned that they've really got a mishandling and misbalanced car. So Denny Hamlin was pretty much on target for and slightly below the average. Not quite as good as Kyle Larson, but still very, very good. And with them starting in 4th, he should be able to maintain. Tire wear, tire wear, tire wear. I'm telling you, we're going to be so tired of tire wear. All right, so our chart. So the optimal lineup for his price range, he's going to need to be at least 65 DraftKings points or higher. If we're just looking at his top 15, once again, it goes back to that chart I showed you, somewhere between 35 and 36 points. But for somebody, if we're going to spend $11,000 and a little over $11,000 on somebody, we need for them to get more into this range. Can Denny Hamlin do that? Absolutely. Even if he starts 4th, finishes 5th, which is his average finishing spot, but has 44 fast laps and leads 74 laps, which are his averages over the last 5 races, he has 76.3 points. All right, pretty good. Not too big of a problem there. Now, what happens if he wins? Well, that takes him to 86 points. Well, what happens if he falls to 11th? I mean, it's 63. That's still not too far off, but he's got to have the fast laps and laps led. But let's say he doesn't lead 74 laps. So let's say Kyle Larson goes out and stinks the show up again like he did today. But Denny Hamlin gets and leads, 15 laps due to pit cycles. Even with 44 fast laps, that's probably not going to happen if he doesn't lead that many laps. Still, clean air is probably pretty keen. So we'll back it down to 29. If he finishes 11th, he's barely making the top 15 at this point. So the bet goes, do you think Denny Hamlin could at least get his average finish, which is 5th, or potentially even improve, maybe gets to 2nd, that gets him closer to the optimal of what we think the optimal line is. So that's going to be the key. I don't think we're going to see a dominator like we saw today in the Xfinity Series. The tire, the setup, the car are all completely different. We could potentially see 2 or 3 drivers lead about 100 laps, but I'm not willing to stake a bet on that. So if we think Denny Hamlin can lead 50 laps, finish in 2nd, have 29 fast laps, that's almost 70 points. That definitely puts him in and around optimal point range. So if you think Denny Hamlin can run his averages, then he's somebody that you want to look at and potentially put into your lineups. He is expensive, though. Not as expensive as Kyle Larson in the truck or Xfinity race. He was $15,000 on the truck race Friday, and he was not optimal. I'm not even sure he led many laps. He also started 11th because qualifying got canceled. All right, Kyle Larson, the man of the hour, man of the weekend. He was trying to go for the triple header and sweep all three. Now, that didn't happen because he didn't win the truck race. Now, he dominated and won the Xfinity race. The last time he went for this triple, it was in Miami, and he won the truck race, missed the Xfinity race, and then went and won the Cup race. So, Kyle Larson could still be set up for 2 of 3. $11,000 for Kyle Larson, starting in the 3rd position. Practice speeds were really good. He was 4th, and then he fell off. That's not right, because he was one of the fastest drivers in practice. I don't have that up anymore, I don't think. Practice. I do have that up. Kyle Larson, 10 lap. He was first in 10 laps, I thought. 15.266 was his 10 lap average. Yeah, he was fastest in, so that should be first. My feeling last week was right. I got a feeling Hamlin might take 3 in a row. Yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, if we look back at, I mean, he's got a 4.8 average finish over the last 5 races. Kyle Larson's got a 2.8. So, I mean, if you're gonna place, if you're gonna make a wager with Vegas, I mean, put 10 on Kyle Larson, put 10 on, or put 10 on both of them to finish top 5. Probably win both of them if the averages all happen. Well, since Kyle Larson was our one that we always kind of look at for that, he will be our fastest driver. I picked Alex Bowman, who also was very, very fast in practice, and actually has the pole. So now his speeds are a little less inconsistent, but over the course of the long run, he's faster than the average, and he's close to Larson. So the Hendrick camp definitely showed up, and definitely showed up very, very quick, and pretty consistent over what we consider a long run, 20 laps. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Larson fan, but I just have a gut feeling. I mean, absolutely. Hamlin probably. I'm trying to rack my brain, and Kyle Busch is not good at. I mean, Kyle Busch is okay at saving tires. He's not phenomenal at it. Where did Kyle Busch finish in spring of 24? He's too aggressive, which hurts his tires. Kyle Busch finished. I don't want to see him. Larson. My brain's tired. Kyle Busch finished 25th. Had 13 fast laps and 5 laps led. Yeah, Kyle Busch is not as good at tire saving as Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney. I'm trying to think quickly. I mean, Kyle Larson's pretty good at saving tires. He's a little on the aggressive side, but he knows how to save tires also. He's also really good with throttle control, which really helps with saving tires. All right, so with Kyle Larson, starting in 3rd, if his average finish is 4th, his average laps led are 142. I mean, it does help when you lead 460 or 70 laps, and the last time they were here, to get this lap average up. I mean, that's 101 points. Okay, so We can back that down because of the tire wear issue. The fast laps may be right, but let's back this down to 42 laps. Well, that takes him to 76. That's still over the 60, even if he finishes in 4th. If he falls to 12th, then we'll move this down to 30. That's 46. That's probably not going to be optimal at $11,000. So the whole guessing game is here is do you think Kyle Larson can finish top 5? And if that's the case, he gets 61 points. That's still not quite where I need him to be for optimal, but it's getting close. It's willing enough to probably take a chance on it. And if he's going to finish in 5th, he probably will lead more than that. He'll probably lead 62 laps. Puts him at 66. Is that enough? Maybe. So it gets a little risky because of the price tag of these guys and where they're starting. When you've got like I said, place differential is not going to make a huge difference, but it can also be helpful when we're looking at, do we think they potentially are optimal or just top 15 or none of the above? Well, it says he likes a loose car as opposed to Denny, who likes it. Well, yeah. I mean, Larson's car today in the Xfinity Series was absolutely very, very loose the entire run, and he blistered the field. And as these tires wear, the car is going to just get looser and looser. Now, it becomes a point where it becomes so loose it's undrivable. But even in the spring race with that high tire wear, I mean, Larson finished in 5th. Now, he only led 19 laps, but he had 56.75 points. Wasn't optimal. But it was top 15. So, I mean, it's tricky. And that's why I like this chart, is because it really starts to show all it takes is a little bit of a slip, even from a Kyle Larson, or a bad pit cycle. You fall to 13th, even leading 62 laps and 30 fast laps, you're at 49. You're not making the optimal $11,000 with 49 points. It's not happening. Now, the same thing could be said with Denny Hamlin or anybody else from here on. The real question is, Kyle Larson also was extremely good in practice, and he was extremely good in the Xfinity race today. Now, they don't fully correlate, but they definitely have similarities. And anytime that you can run 300 laps and 100 or in 250 laps in the truck race, he's already run 550 laps this weekend, excluding any practices. You run that many laps around anything, you get into a rhythm. And Bristol is nothing but rhythm. Yeah, I feel like the slate will be decided on the cheap guys, like a random Cole Custer top 5 or something. Oh, absolutely. And that's what the Xfinity race was. Was absolutely just, it was which 4 guys were place differential and finishing position. That's where finishing position and place differential will come into play, is when you're looking at the less expensive guys. Now, there are 8 to 10 drivers I will not touch. Ricky Stenhouse is definitely one of them. Kyle Larson's not one, because Kyle Larson has the potential of just dominating the field. With the tire wear, I don't think that's actually truly what'll happen, unless cautions just absolutely fall in somebody's lap. But I don't think that's going to happen either. But Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin absolutely are not two that I'm still very interested in. Ryan Blaney at 10,500, starting in 5th. Does not have a win at Bristol. Is pretty good at tire wear. But realistically, it's long tire wear. He needs really, really long runs. He needs a 70, 80, 90 lap run on tires where he's really conserved and saved and has that extra tenth to 2/10 per lap. We're looking at potentially an extra 3 and 4/10 a lap by lap, 10 or 15. By somebody saving. This is a whole different tire savings. Ryan Blaney needs a long run, 60, 70, 80 lap with 2/10 difference on everybody. And that's not going to be the case tomorrow. I mean, I think Ryan Blaney has a chance of having a decent finish. But his average finish, if we look at it, even over 16 total starts, it's 14.4. His average running position is 14.5 in the next gen era, 15.6 average finish. I did finish 6th in the fall race last year, but the tire wear was not an issue. That was 150, they would run 150 laps on tires. And realistically, the reason they pitted was because they needed fuel. And the tire fall off was not that significantly different from one driver to the next. And Ryan Blaney was not as good as I would like to have seen in practice. He did start to come in by lap 18, 19, 20. But the problem is if Kyle Larson is putting a second on him for 10 laps, Kyle Larson's 5 seconds ahead of him by this point. And then at that point, if Ryan Blaney starts to come back to him at lap 15, let's say they equalize, and at lap 15 they start to come back to Ryan Blaney starts to run faster laps. Well, at that point, Kyle Larson's 5-6 seconds ahead of him. By the time he gets to lap 30, 35, they're both good. Both tires are going to be so shot that the tire difference isn't going to make a difference anymore. So this is a little concerning. Now, Penske's smart. Penske's good. They'll figure it out. And this line will equalize a little bit. But Ryan Blaney starting in 5th, I don't know if his fire-off speed is going to be fast enough where you're going to have some guys that are going to be like, okay, I'm just going to burn my tires up and just hope I can gain track positions. And that's what Ty Gibbs, Justin Haley, and Kaz Gralla were doing last year. And they got good finishes. I mean, Ty Gibbs led a career-high 100 and some odd laps. So, all right, Ryan Blaney starting in 5th. If his average finish is 14th and his average fast laps are 15 and 14 laps led, 51.25. That's tough. Well, that's if he finishes 4th. If he finishes 14th, it gets even worse than that. I didn't fix that. 30.25. So if he's starting in 5th, if he gets his average finish and leads a few laps and has a few fast laps, that's not even making the top 15 in points. Even, let's say, because he's been really good lately. Let's say he goes and leads 64 laps. And if that's the case, he's probably going to lead. He's probably have 29 fast laps. I mean, but then he falls to 14th. Well, that's 49.05. All right, let's say he finishes where he starts. That's 68.5. So, do you think Ryan Blaney, with an average finish of 14th, who did finish last fall, different tire, different scenario, different everything, finished in 6th? Do you think he can do that and lead 64 laps? Let's say he doesn't lead 64 laps. Let's say he only leads 14 laps and only has 17 fast laps, 50.15. That's not going to be optimal. Be enough to be in the top 15, but at 10,500, I could think of a lot better ways to spend my money. So, Ryan Blaney, I'm not going to say I'm going to have a fade on him, but I'm probably not going to have a ton of ownership on Ryan Blaney. Probably 15, maybe 20%. All right, Christopher Bell, next in line here at 10,200, starting in the 7th position. He has an average running position of 5.4, which is quite interesting. And in the last 5 races, he's got 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. He finished 5th in the fall race last year. Where did he finish in the spring? I really should just put both on there because I didn't realize that it was going to be that similar in the way temperatures and tire wears were looking. Christopher Bell finished in 10th. So I'll just kind of put this over here, and I can just reference it as time goes. So Christopher Bell finished in 10th. He did lead 29 laps and did have 27 fast laps. All right, so we'll just remember that, 29 and 27, and finished in 10th, starting in 7th. Let's look at his practice speeds real quick. He was slightly above the average line, and significantly, almost a full second off. I mean, it's about a half second by lap 14 than from Kyle Larson. Well, number one, Kyle Larson's going to be closer to the front, and Christopher Bell is going to be a little bit further back, so it becomes a little bit more difficult to try to catch somebody. Now he comes below the average line by lap 19 or 20. Christopher Bell's actually pretty good about saving his tires and learning when to abuse and when not to abuse, and that's part of dirt track racing too. And also finding as the track begins to move, and this track's going to move in the way of grip. And these dirt guys do a really, really good job on finding grip when it moves. And Christopher Bell's right there with Kyle Larson and being able to do that. All right. So his average finish is 8th. He's starting in 7th. He has an average laps led at Bristol of 70, though. But that's 71.4. That puts him in optimal. Let's see if he finishes. Let's see if he just finishes and does everything the same as he did last year in the spring race with the high tire wear. It was 27 fast laps. Let's see if that puts him in optimal. And he led 29 laps. 50.4. It's probably not enough for optimal. Top 15. So he's going to have to do better than he did in the spring race last year. I mean, could easily do that. Practice speeds are not showing that to be the case. This track's going to move around a lot. Things are going to change a little bit. I'll have some ownership. I'm probably going to put Christopher Bell kind of right there with Ryan Blaney. So, I mean, right now, my two kind of dominator potentials are Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. I'm not going to be a complete fade on Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney, but they're not the ones that I'm really, really kind of hoping for. Bell more than Ryan Blaney. William Byron, kind of about the same as Ryan Blaney. His average finishes are 13.5. Not great, not bad. He's never won at Bristol. William Byron in the spring with the high tire wear. Oh, he got wrecked real early before people really figured out there was a major tire difference going on. He finished 35th. How many laps down did he finish? It was bad. Not that bad. Finished 8 laps down. That's not great, but yeah, I mean, literally, I can't believe there are more cars that weren't taken out. We had 36 cars start and all but one. 35 cars finished. William Byron only finished 8 laps down. Zane Smith was the only one not to finish the race when he got tied up with Tyler Reddick on lap 10. Let's see. William Byron. Now, William Byron starting in 26. Everybody's going to be in muck. So I always say, ooh, he's starting back in the muck. And the muck is kind of where... And there are no bad cup drivers. Well, I guess there's one or two. But those guys know how to stay out of everybody's way. This would typically be back in the muck. This would be back there with the Recce Stenhouses and John Hunters and Zane Smith from last year. Zane's actually having a good year this year. But he's starting typically where the muck is. The problem is the muck is going to be everywhere at Bristol. There is nowhere to hide. And with this tire wear, if it does end up being as bad as last spring, which all indications are it's going to be, the muck's going to be everywhere. So the question is, can William Byron find his way through all of the muck and improve. I think he can, but his practice speeds were. Well, I didn't finish. I didn't fix that. That's not right. Can I even fix that right here? Let's see. Bristol. Yeah, actually, I do have it. I want William Byron. One second. I can fix this on the fly. Kind of. All right. All right. So this is William Byron's laps. And this is what I talk about, the very jagged. It's up, it's down. You see Kyle Larson's very fluid, nothing real. We don't have the zigzags. Up, down, down, up, down. I mean, we're all over the place. Now, we're also talking quarter of a second differences. But when you get a Kyle Larson who's got this nice smooth line, one little blip here. I mean, the first 1 or 2 laps, okay. But then it's lap 3, lap 4, lap 5, lap 6, lap 7, lap 8, lap 14, lap 15, lap 17. He's all over the place. He's up and down. He's up and down. Now, understand at this point, people were having real tire issues, and at that point, it's moving chicanes. So that could be part of it. So I'm not fully blaming him. Maybe he was faster than the average, which is okay. But then he goes and qualifies 26. Can he take care of his stuff and get through? Well, let's say he can. Let's say he can get to 15th. Let's say he has 12 fast laps. Well, that's 44 points. I mean, at almost $10,000, that's not going to cut for optimal lineup. He's going to need to get to a top 10. Let's go 8th. Well, that's 59.4. That's getting much closer. And let's say he gets to 15 fast, 60.75. He's going to need to get to 6th to get kind of close to that optimal. So can William Byron come from 26 to finish 6th? Absolutely. All it takes is one right strategy, one pit stop strategy move correctly, and you can easily gain 20 spots. You can also lose 20 spots by doing the wrong thing. So, is William Byron and his crew capable? Absolutely. Is William Byron capable of taking care of his equipment, tire-wise? He struggled actually last week at Dover, even though at Darlington, even though he led a ton of laps. That was mostly because he was in clean air. Once he kind of got into traffic, he really struggled with older tires and the runs. Makes me a little bit concerned. Can William Byron get up to 6th? Yes, he can. So I will have a 10 to 15%. I'm going to have a lot of 10 to 15% ownerships with a lot of people. It's going to take a 20 spot place differential and 15 fast laps with no laps led. Things start to change. You start leading laps. Let's say he leads 15 laps, 68.5. Now you can fall to 9th, 8th. Got to be in the same ballpark. Once again, he's now going to have to lead 15 laps and still just be right at the top 10. A little bit tougher. Chase Elliott, 9,600, 5th on single speed, 23rd in lap average. His average finish is 10th, or 8.8. His average running position is 10.1. Now, he does have an 8.4 total average finish at Bristol. He did finish 2nd in the fall race, and Chase Elliott finished 8th in the spring race with the high tire wear. Look at his practice speeds. All right, his first lap, he came out real slow. That could be just traffic, whatever. Once he kind of got out here, though, he's a little bit jagged. Once again, okay. But at this point, he then becomes a little bit faster than Kyle Larson and way better than the average a little bit on the longer run of 17 laps. Yes, the air quote of because 17 laps is so long. It's crazy. All right, let's say he gets his average finish. Starts in 20th and finishes 9th. His average pass laps here are 18 and 27 laps led for 60.85. That's real close to being in that optimal range, depending on how things fall. I think anything 65 plus that these guys can get to, they're almost going to be optimal. So can Chase Elliott at 9,600 with a Kyle Larson or Denny Hamlin who potentially could dominate? And if Chase Elliott gets 60.85 points, that puts him probably real close to being optimal. I think 65 plus makes him optimal. That's why I kind of went with the 65 points. But Chase Elliott finishing in 9th, his average finish is just about there. 8.4, 8.8. You could actually even say his average finish is 8th. Let's move him down to 8th. 62.85. Let's say he hadn't led a whole lot of laps this year. So let's take that away. But we'll give him, it's probably about right. Starting in 20th, you're not going to have a ton of fast laps, but you'll have some. 56.1. It's not quite as good. He's kind of right there with William Byron. I think Chase Elliott's probably a little bit better at Bristol than William Byron. At least Chase Elliott. I thought Chase Elliott he had an all-star win here. He doesn't have a points-paying race win here, but he did finish second last year in the fall race. I thought Chase Elliott had a win here. Tells you what I remember. Usually my memory's better than that. But either way, 15, maybe 20% ownership with Chase Elliott. Decent amount of place differential. But this is going to be which 2 to 3 drivers can dominate. Can Chase Elliott dominate? Sure. I'm still leaning so far with looking at the drivers we've gone through at Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson as being probably the best potential dominators. Joe Logano is not going to dominate anywhere in the first 200 laps unless something really weird happens. Number one, his car's way out there, and it's now damaged, and they're going to have to make repairs. He's already starting last. He's going to have to even go to last again. But you can't go to last twice. But and his practice speeds were 16th and 14th. But his average finish here is not good. Even though he's got 2 wins, and his average finish is still 16.4. It's either really good or really bad. No in between. The times he's good here, it's good. The times he's bad here, it's bad. In the next gen era, it's a 24.4 average finish. Finished 28th in the fall race. And in the high tire wear race last spring, Joey Logano finished 22nd, and he had 5 laps led and 2 fast laps. So not good. Even starting in 38th. His practice speeds were okay. A little bit better than average. One little blip, okay. But then actually was a little bit faster, about laps 16, 17, than what Kyle Larson appeared to be he was on pace for. Let's say he gets his average finish of 20th. But let's also, what did I say? Joey Logano had 3 fast laps and 5 laps led. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but we'll just put that in just for giggles. Even if he finishes in 20th, starting 38th, that still only puts him up 43.6. That's barely top 15, especially at this price tag, and 65 points is where he needs to get to. I could probably even go down to 60 at 9,300. We're starting to get kind of in that ballpark, but he's not even close. What is he going to need to get to? 15th? Nope. 10th? Yep. Can he get a 12th? I could give him 12th. Can Joey Logano start 38 and finish in 12th? With a huge strategy race, which could help him, could also hurt him. I hate to sound like a broken record. I'm probably kind of about 15%, which is going to be low on the field. The field is going to have Joey Logano in the 35 to 40% range. But you're asking somebody who's got an average finish of 20th in the next gen era in this car with an absolute crazy tire scenario to start dead last. And number one, not get lapped, and number two, not wreck him or anybody else on the way to the front. That's a huge ask. Where did he start last year? Joey Logano started 4th and finished 22nd. Yeah. I don't know. You tell me. Can he get to 12th? Sure. Anybody could. Do I think he's going to, compared to his average finishes? Nope. I do not. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you're new here. I'd appreciate it. Chase Briscoe next in line here. It's $9,000. Boy, we got a long way to go and short time to get there. We're an hour and 11 minutes in. Hopefully, I will be done in the next half hour. We got to go, though. We got to cruise. $9,000 starting in 14th. He was 13th in single lap, 28th in 10 lap. His average finish is 15th to 14.6. He finished 8th here in the spring or the fall race. And Briscoe, where is Briscoe? Finished 13th in the high tire wear race. Decent practice laps. So, I mean, Lily, we're talking about 12 or 13 laps. I feel like this should be like a road course. I mean, they just burned up their tires. $9,000. Let's see. Starting in 14th, his average finish is 13th. How many laps? Let's see. He had 10 fast laps. Did not lead any laps in the high tire wear race from the spring. Takes him to a 35.5. Starting in 14th. How far up the ladder board does he need to finish 5th? It's kind of close. 3rd? 2nd? I mean, even in 2nd, starting in 14th with only 10 fast laps, now at that point he's probably going to lead a few laps. We'll give him 10. That puts him to 61. I mean, it's not awful. That's not great. Once again, probably going to be at about the 10 to 15%. Yeah, probably 10 to 15%. Now, the 19 car last year with Truex Jr. had a much better race and finished in 2nd and led 54 laps. I mean, we have a different crew chief, different crew, different driver, different everything in this car now than we did then. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he gets the 2nd. I think probably on the high end of things, he's a 7th. 51 points. 51 points enough to make it into the optimal? No. Top 10, maybe in points. Yeah. I'll have some ownership just in case something happens. But I just think he's kind of starting and he's not good enough to get up and lead a ton of laps yet, in my opinion, in this 19 car. But anything's possible. I mean, anything's possible. And I don't think Josh Bilicki's going to go up and lead to 100 laps. I will put that out there that I don't think that's going to happen. Kyle Busch, next in line here at 8,800. Starting in 15th, he did wreck on his 2nd lap. So he got a qualifying spot at 15th, and he gets to keep it. Keep a good ear out in the morning on if he's going to have to drop to the rear for unapproved adjustments. I don't know if they messed up their underbody at all or whatever that little under piece is in the back. And if they have to make those changes, he could have to go to the rear and start with Joey Logano and have the starting spot at 15th, not the starting spot at 38th. Now, his average finish in the next-gen era is 25th. He does have 8 wins total here. He has had really good speed. In the next-gen era, though, it has been abysmal. One of his worst tracks. And in the high tire wear, it didn't get any better. Started in 14th, starting in 15th today. He finished 25th. At 13 fast laps and 5 laps led. All right, let's go take a look at practices. Practice speeds were almost dead on the average and actually got a little better at the very, very tail end. Kyle Busch is not bad at tire saving. Not the best, not bad. Let's say he gets... Where did I say he finished? 25th. Okay. Let's say he finishes where he starts. We'll be generous. And he leads, what did he lead in the... He had 13 fast laps. And he led a grand total of 5 laps in the spring crazy race. 35.1. That barely puts him in the top 15, and at 8,800, that is definitely not going to cut it. So if he goes to the rear, it'll be even more of a challenge. So, and I do not think he will make it up past 15th. So, 35.1. And he's kind of in the same boat as Briscoe, starting 14th. Even if he moves up to 7th, it's 51 points. Is that enough? I don't think so. Not at that price tag. Who was it? Yeah, Wyatt was saying earlier, we're going to need random Cole Custers to finish top 5s. I don't think, I mean, that sounds like a little bit of a random, but I mean, definitely possible. You had John Hunter Nemechek last year finishing 6th in the high tire wear race. So, sure, anything's possible. Ross Chastain, 8,600, starting in, look here, 35th. But his practice speeds were awful. This is what I'm talking about when you have a mishandled race car or a setup that is not right. Over 17.25 down to 16.25, back up to 17.25, down to 16.25, up to 16 point. I mean, this is all within 5 laps. This is a mishandling car. Hopefully they can improve on it, because if not, he may finish where he starts. Now, his average finish is 13.6. Ross will be more than likely be okay. And if he can make it up to 13.6, 14th, 53.15, without any laps led, with 7 fast laps. That puts him real close to being a potential optimal choice. With that being said, his practice speeds were not good. They're going to have to fix some things. They're going to have to get lucky on strategy. But he does have a better finish than Joey Logano. And they're both starting back there. And also, Ross Chastain didn't wreck his car in qualifying. So, he'll be highly owned. You know, I could even see a scenario where you just start any of the body that's decent, and Joey Logano being decent, that are starting in the 30s. Even though nothing anywhere tells me to do that, just run it like you would a super speedway type race. I don't think that's a smart play, but I could see throwing up one of the quarter lineups in like that just to see what it does. In case we just have an absolute shit show. S show tomorrow. Bubba Wallace, 8,500. Starting in 22nd. Is 21st in single lap, 31st in 10 lap. He has an average finish of 18.2, but an average riding position of 15.4 over the last 5 races. Did finish in 3rd in the fall race. And Bubba Wallace finished 29th in the high tire wear race. Ooh, not good. He didn't lead 15 laps. So there is that. This has been more of a struggle track for Bubba Wallace. One of those that he is trying to improve on. And once again, okay, we'll skip the first 2 laps. But then even lap 3, way up, way down, way up, way down, way up, way down. Not too consistent, not too good. Practice speeds all over the place. All right, if he gets his average finish of 16th, starting in 27, 37.5 points. What did he say? He finished in 3rd in the fall. What happens if Bubba Wallace makes it all the way up to 3rd? Without doing much of anything else. That puts him close to optimal. Probably puts him in optimal at 8,500. Can Bubba Wallace get himself up to 3rd? I mean, he's been running really, really good this year. At tracks where he's supposed to be running really good. His history at Bristol is not so good. Can he miss it and make it up to 3rd? I doubt it. I think we'll be lucky to see an 8th place finish, to be honest. But at 54.5, I mean, I'm saying the optimal for him is 50. So maybe I'll have some ownership in Bubba. Maybe closer to the 15 to 20%. Or even with Joey Logano starting in 38th, I'll probably be closer to 10 to 15%. So I'm really a fade on Joey Logano, especially after he wrecked. Who knows what damage that did? They'll make the repairs, but are the repairs enough? I don't know. Ty Gibbs, 8,400. Oh, starting at 6. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Average of 16.0 at Bristol. 4 total starts. And in the spring race, he did finish in 9th after starting 19th. He did lead 137 laps. He was fast in practice. Decent on the long run. Long being 19. Was not as fast as Kyle Larson on the fire-off. Starting in 6th, he could probably maintain and hold the top 10. Maybe. What does he need to do? Starting in 6th, I do have him leading 50 laps. That's what the average says. I'm just going off for averages. And 25 fast laps, which will come from the laps led. But then he drops to 15th. Starting in 6th, let's say he finishes 12th. No, not quite yet. 10th. Can he get a top 10 finish and lead 50 laps? What happens if he only leads 10 laps? What does that do to things? 47.35. That puts him smack dab in the middle of between almost being optimal and at least being in the top 15. Problem is starting in 6th, you don't have a whole lot of room to mess up. Can't fall much further than 10th, maybe 12th, before you become outside the top 15 in points. And once you get outside the top 15 in points, I'm not interested. Chris Buescher, on the other hand, I'm interested in. He's got a 9.8 average finish and a 14.5 over 16 total starts at Bristol. Practice speeds were about average. Not too crazy, not too up and down, a little bit of jagged, but not bad. Ends up only being off by about 0.2 of a second. How did that do that? That's so weird. I don't know why it does that. We'll fix it though. And shrink it in and shrink it in. Okay, there we go. 16.3, 16.4 to a 15.9. Not bad. He's very consistent. 9.8 average finish. There always seems to be there at the end. All right, starting in 24th, if you finish 12th. Leads 37 laps. Okay, let's say that might be a little generous. Let's have him lead 10. 54.5. Well, that puts him real close to that optimal line. I have it at 50.5 because of the price tag of 8,300. I think it's very doable. Chris Buescher is on my list. On my good list, not my naughty list. Tyler Reddick, 8,200. Starting in 27th, his average finish of 20.4. He was 18th in single lap, 17th in 10 lap consecutive average. Finished 20th in the fall race, and Tyler Reddick finished in 30th. He was right down lap 15. Just remember that, of the spring race with the high tire wear. But his average finishes are not great. Practice speeds were, about average. He actually got much better than Larson did by lap 16, 17. So decent long run speed at 17 laps. Let's see, he gets his average finish of 20th. Doesn't lead any, leads 5 laps and has no fast laps. What's he going to need to do to get to the 50-point mark? Can he move up to 12th? That's close. If he does that, he's probably going to have a couple fast laps. So let's give him 8. 50.85. Can Tyler Reddick start 27th, finish 12th, and have 8 fast laps? And maybe 5 fast laps for the candy on top, when he has an average finish of 20.4. Seems a little bit on the tough side. But starting in 27th, I'm willing to take a shot of getting to 15.85 with a 12th place finish. Don't need a top 10. In fact, I don't even need you to lead any laps. 49.6 puts him right on that edge of potentially being in the optimal lineup. Safely in the top 15 in points. If you're safely in the top 15 points, I'll have some ownership. I'll probably be on a little bit of the higher side, 15-20%. So, Alex Bowman, $8,000, starting from the pole. Luckily enough, his practice speeds were actually pretty good. And his average finish is 12.6, and he finished in 9th in the fall race. And in the high tire weight race, he finished in 4th. Now, he only led 3 laps and only had 10 fast laps. He was just very consistent all day, which Alex Bowman tends to do. The problem is, being consistent and being Alex Bowman will get you a 12th place finish with 10 laps led. And that's a 26.1. That's not going to cut it. Let's say we do think the tires are going to hold up for 30 solid laps. Not 300. Don't get excited. And let's say he is able to maintain and gets a 7th place finish. It's still only 42.1. That's probably not going to be enough. He's going to need to finish in 5th. And what happens if we double it? He leads 60. That's 53.6. So he's going to need to lead probably 50 laps. 50.1. And finish top 5. I mean, practice speeds were pretty good, actually. And he got the pole. He's got the number 1 pit selection. Pretty consistent speed. The Hendrick cars have been quick. Do we think he can lead 50 laps? And can he finish top 5? Sure, all those are possible. He's probably not going to be highly owned. It could be sneaky. This would be your pick, Matt. Family Guy. Alex Bowman. Could be sneaky. All you got to do is finish 5th and lead 50 laps. Lead 10% of the race and finish in 5th. And probably make the optimal lineup. Or within at least the top 10 in points. Brad Keselowski, 7,800, starting in 16th. Was 6th in single lap speed and 35th in 10 lap. Ooh, he really fell off a cliff. 11.2 average finish and a 15.1 total average finish. And in the super high tire wear race of last spring, he finished in 3rd and led a total of 1 laps. All right, let's see what his practice speeds look like. Oh, he only got to like 8 that were at least under 17.75. I didn't look at anything that was above 17.75 because at that point it was worthless. Yeah, not good. Yeah, so that's really slow, and he qualified in 16th. All right, let's say he magically gets his average finish of 13th. Well, if that's the case, he's probably not going to have that many fast laps. So let's say he has 8. And I don't think he's going to lead any laps if he's struggling that much. He'll be lucky to stay on the lead lap, actually. 36.6, barely in the top 15 in points. Brett Keselowski, it's a really, really risky play. So some people would say it might be a sleeper pick, but his average finishes have been decent, and he did finish in 3rd in the last spring race with the high tire wear. I'm probably going to be closer to the 5 or 10% ownership on Brad instead of closer to the 10 to 15%. Josh Berry, $7,700, starting in 11th, but his practice speeds look to be pretty bad. 36th in single lap, 27th in 10 lap consecutive average. He's only started here twice. Once in the fall race and once in the spring with the high tire race. He finished 29th in the non-high tire race and finished 12th in the high tire wear. He's really good at saving tires. Really, really good at saving tires. 20.5 average finish. And let's see his practice speeds. A little inconsistent. More inconsistent than I'd like to see. Starting 11th, finished 20th. He's going to have to do a lot of work. Starting 11th. I mean, his best finish is 12th. Can he improve on his best position and lead and have fast laps? Ooh, that's going to be tough. I mean, they say in the garage that he's probably, next to Denny Hamlin, probably the best at tire conservation. Oh, it'll be sneaky. If you're looking for that sneaky pick, I think Josh Berry could be sneaky. Ryan Preece, next in line, 7,500. On Josh Berry, I'll probably have 10 to 15% ownership. It is a little risky with his starting position. Just FYI. Ryan Preece, $7,500, starting in 29th. It's not very fast in practice. I was hoping to see a lot better. He's really good at this style track. He's also really good at tire wear. Also, $7,500, starting in 29th, 33rd in single lap, 34th in 10 lap. Let's see how inconsistent those laps are. Ooh, pretty inconsistent and almost all above the average, not below the average. You want to be below the average. But how about his average finish? 12.5 over the last 4 races. 1 top 10, 4 top 20s. Very consistently finishing close to and around 12th. His average running position is 15.5. 8 total starts here with an average finish of 14.3. Very, very consistent, finishing in the lower teens. Practice speeds, like I said, were not great, but they're not bad. Let's say he goes and gets his average finish, and he has whopping 4 fast laps, 47.8. That's at $7,500. That's real close to making optimal lineup. Definitely in the top 15 in points, though. At $7,500, I will probably have a decent amount of ownership in Ryan Preece. I think he can pull through. Just my gut feeling and gut reaction. He has an average finish of 13th in the next gen era here. And he's been running really, really well this year. Unlike last week, he's actually starting further back instead of starting outside pole. So he's got some room to run. Austin Cindric, 7,300, starting in 21st. And he actually was able to do 40 laps of practice. So good on Austin Cindric. 3rd in single lap, 13th in 10 lap. Yo, what's up, Mark Fish? What's going on, buddy? Hey, does this sound good? I know you'll be honest with me. Not that these other guys will, and they've been coming to my channel for a long time. But I forgot to ask with my new setup if the sound was okay. Too low, too high? Do I have any weird raspy noises in the background or anything like that? All good? All right, cool. Austin Cendric, 7,500. Who's your pick for this race? Super high tire wear. Awesome. I appreciate it. Who's your pick for this week? And if you say KFP, I'm going to kick your ass. Come and drive all the way to New Jersey and kick your ass. Now you'll say it. Austin Cendric, $7,300, starting in 21st. Yeah, fuck off. Oops, I didn't mean to cuss. My bad. It's supposed to be family-friendly channel. Look what you did to me. He's not winning this race. I will put $100 on that. Even though he does have 8 wins at Bristol. $7,300 starting in 21st. Yeah, Fish, you're from Jersey and you made me cuss. That's all your fault. I'm blaming you 100%. Third in single lap, 13th in 10 lap. He finished 13th last fall, but what would he finish in the high tire wear race? Where is Austin Cendric? Oh, not good. 31st in the high tire wear. Did he lead any laps? Nope. He had 8 fast laps. Everybody had 8 fast laps last week. And he was all over the board. He was a little above the average line, so not super good. Starting in 21st. I think that's probably where he's going to probably about finish. I have 24th on here right now. Guess what? That's a whopping 17.25. What's he going to need to get to even get to the top 15 in Draftkings points? 16th? Pretty close. 17th. 15th. 15th. Can Austin Cendric make it to 15th? Sure. Likelihood? I'd put it at 30%. Is it a fade? It's a fade for me. About 10% of ownership on Austin Cendric. Michael McDowell, who actually runs this track really well, with a 12.6 average finish, but a 22.6 over 26 starts. He's gotten much better lately, especially in the next-gen era. 17th in single lap, 36th in 10-lap consecutive average. The problem is he's starting 13th. He keeps starting too far up for me to really have much interest. And his practice speeds were not good. They were really bad. Starting at 13th, finishing 15th, it's a 20.28. What are we going to need for Michael McDowell to score? For 8th would definitely do it. Not put him in the optimal. For him to be close to the optimal, he needs to finish 5th. Is that possible? Sure. Anything's possible. Unlikely, though. So I'll have a little bit of ownership, 5, maybe 10%. Not a ton. He's starting too far up again. Same thing with Carson Hocevar. Starting way too far up. Even though he actually was really, really fast in practice. I mean, he was under the average line the entire run, and he was actually faster than Kyle Larson from lap 10 to 14. I know, 4 laps. Woohoo! But, I mean, 4 laps this week, I mean, that's like 15% of your tire wear. 25th, 7th, practice speeds were okay. He's got an 18.7 average finish. He's starting in 9th. And he has had the worst luck. A lot of it brought on by his own. I get it. I just want the old Carl Larson back, or Carson Hocevar back, that would start 18th and finish 15th and wouldn't wreck anybody. We're not getting that. But if he starts in 9th and finishes 18th, that's a 20.5. You know how far up he's going to have to finish? He's going to have to finish his career best 2nd. Maybe not that far. 5th. 5th will put him close to the edge, with an average finish of 18th. Possible? Maybe. Unlikely? Yeah. Very unlikely. So, I'm a fade on Carson Hocevar also. Now, Noah Gragson, starting in 31st, now we've got some room to run. And this is where the place differential starts to come in. Noah Gragson is an average finish of 23rd. I know the sample size is massive with 2. But his practice speeds were actually not bad. Only a few, 2 laps that he was above the average line. Not too far off from Kyle Larson. And now he's starting in 31st. Even if he gets to his average finish of 22nd, that puts him close to being in the top 15 in points. How far up does Noah Gragson need to go? Well, if he finishes 15th at 6,900, that's 46.25. That puts him very close to being in potential optimal range if we think the optimal for this price tag is 46.25. Anything better than that could be a real win. I like some Noah Gragson. I'll be in the probably closer to 15 to 20% ownership camp on him. Daniel Suarez starting in 23rd has an average finish of 22.2. It's about where he starts. His practice speeds were... That's for Ryan Blaney. I'm not going to fix this one. His practice speeds were slightly worse than average. If we think he gets to 21st, that's 23.9. How far up does he need to run? 13th? Nope. 9th? Yep. 11th. Can he make it up to 11th, 23rd? His average finish is 21st. Nothing indicates that he really can get up there other than maybe his total average full history is 17.1. And he does have 2 top 10. So he needs to get another top 10 or very close to it to make what I would consider to be close to being optimal. Possible? Maybe. Doubtful? Maybe. I'll have some ownership in Daniel, probably 10 to 15%. Eric Jones, 28th. Ooh, he's got an average finish of 20.6 and a 13.9 for his full race history. Oh, what do we got here? What's his practice speeds look like? Oh, his practice speeds. Why did this not transfer over? That's with Ryan Blaney, and that's from last week. What was he? 26th, and he did not do a 10-lap consecutive average run. But this is more important. Starts 28th, finishes 21st at 30.6. How far up does he need to run? Can he make it up to 14th? 46.6. In fact, he could probably go to 15th. What's 15th give us? 44.6. What I would consider to be right on the cusp of being potentially optimal at $6,700. I'll take some Eric Jones. He's got an average finish of 20th and 14th. And I have him finishing 15th to make it up to getting close to being the optimal. I will take some Eric Jones, probably 15 to 20%. AJ Allmendinger, the road course ringer. The problem is we're not at a road course. We're at a really wacky high tire wear situation. Did AJ even run? He did run in the high tire wear race. He finished 23rd. He finished 23rd in the fall race. Okay, seeing something consistent here. And a 20.8, 21.7. He's starting at 8th. And his practice speeds were 20th and 9th. He never made it past the average line. Yeah, no, not interested. 8.9 is what I have for the points if he gets his average finish. Nope, not happening. Not interested. I will fade completely off of AJ Allmendinger. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I will also be a complete fade, even though his practice speeds were actually pretty good. He was first in single lap, second in 10-lap consecutive average, but his average finish is 24.6. Boo. Even being sneaky, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to need to finish. Let's say he finishes where he starts. Let's just play with it. Finishes where he starts and has 8 fast laps. 45.6. I mean, if we think he could finish where he starts, which he's never, ever done. He's never finished in the top 5. No, he has finished in the top 5 4 times in his 21 total starts at Bristol. None of the next gen era has one top 10. Oh, talk about super risky, super sneaky to take Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I just do not have any interest. In fact, like I said, I wouldn't put Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in somebody else's lineup because that would just be mean and cruel. Yeah, I mean he has to finish second just to be potentially optimal lineup. And that's without leading any laps. What happens if he finishes 8th? How many laps would he need to lead? 20? Oops. 20 doesn't quite do it. 30? We'll give him a few more fast laps. Let's give him 15. That puts him close. So start in 2nd, finish in 8th, have 15 fast laps, and lead 30 laps. Can Ricky Stenhouse Jr. do that? That's a mighty big ask. But he was fast in practice. We'll give him that. And he was consistent throughout practice. I would probably put him 3rd in practice. Not 1st or 2nd, but I'm just saying overall, looking at the chart, looking at the inconsistencies, where he was at. Yeah, it's possible. It would be really sneaky and really underowned to take him. Zane Smith, 6,400 starting in 18th. His average finish he's going to finish better than his average finish because he's been doing that consistently all year long. But has not been able to really get up and run top 5. He's kind of like what Carson Hocevar was doing last year. He just kind of, I'm going to run in the mid-teens to maybe sometimes in the top 10. And nobody's going to notice me, and nobody's going to bother me, and that's where I'm going to finish. So, practice speeds were god-awful. We'll just pretend we didn't see that, even though we did. I don't think I'm going to have a whole lot of ownership of Zane, but I'll have a little bit, because 18th to 21st, 20 points. Not good. Let's say he just goes, let's say he gets his kind of his top 10, and he leads 8 laps. 45.6. Realistically, that could be 5 points higher than what the optimal he would need to be. Zane Smith probably would be sneaky. The problem is I don't know how much sneaky he's going to be for much longer. We look at the optimal lineup challenge that I've got. I think he's in there, 3 times? Where is that? What's up here? Zane Smith. He's only got 1 optimal. Okay. I thought it was more than that. No, he did. He keeps finishing on this. Other drivers not an optimal. That's what I keep thinking of. But he's just consistently kind of running in that 8th to 14th spot. If he goes and finishes 10th, that's 8 fast laps. We don't see him or hear from him all day long. If he doesn't cause any problems or any issues, he potentially easily could make the optimal lineup. I'll have some Zane Smith. I'll take some shots on him. Probably somewhere in the 15% range. Austin Dillon, 6,300. Like I said, you're going to get tired of me saying 15% to 20%. It's either going to be 15 to 20 or it's going to be 15 to 10. Because this tire wear thing is just whack. Austin Dillon starting in 17th, kind of sitting in the same spot as Zane Smith here. 21.6 on his average running and average finish. He finished 21st. Boy, things are 21st all of a sudden for Austin Dillon lately here. His practice speeds were pretty consistent. Not bad. A little below average most of the time. At the end, it kind of fell off the cliff. Okay. You beat your tires up. Well, everybody did. But starting in 17th, finished in 21st, it's 18.8. That's not going to work. He's going to need to finish like 11th. That probably about right? Yeah. Probably closer to 10th. And have 8 fast laps. 44.6. Kind of makes him equal with Zane Smith. Zane starting in 18th. Austin Dillon starting in 17th. Austin Dillon has an average finish of 21.6. Zane Smith has an average finish of 26. Sample size is smaller. I don't know. All depends on your gut. Do you think Austin Dillon will finish 11th and Zane Smith will finish 12th. I mean, if you think that's the case, run them both, because then you've spent what, $12,700, and now you can afford 4 drivers of 9,000 plus. I mean, honestly, I'll have some lineups like that. Todd Gillen starting in 30th has an average finish of 23 over 4 starts. Okay, I mean, its data points are okay. Practice speeds were not so great, but not awful for starting in 30th. It's slightly above average. Let's say he gets his average finish 23rd. It's 27.8. Can he make it up to 17th? It's 40.8. That's real close to maybe potentially sneaking in to that close to optimal range. If he makes it up to 15th, definitely probably puts him there, 44.8. So yeah, I mean, Todd Gillen finally is starting where I want him to start. I probably should start him. I mean, you could literally run a Todd Gillen, Austin Dillon, Zane Smith lineup. What does that do? Let's go to Draftkings and let's just... How much money do we end up having if you take Zane Smith, Austin Dillon, Todd Gillen? You have $10,366 left over for each driver. You could really run Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and you have $9,000 left over, which then you could take Ross Chastain at $8,600 with $400 left over. And you literally have Larson and Hamlin, the 2 drivers that I think have the best potential for being dominators. You've got Ross Chastain, who probably has the best potential place differential. Todd Gillen could easily have a decent amount of place differential. Yeah, I mean, if you can get if you get 100 points out of Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, that's 200 points. You then have Ross Chastain. What did I say Ross could get to? Where is our old boy Ross Chastain? How much is he? 8,600. Ross Chastain is $8,600 starting in 35th, and I said get to 14th, that's 53. So that's 253 points for those 3 drivers. Now let's just say, all right, what do we got? 253. And then if, what did I say? Daniel Suarez or Zane Smith gets 45 by finishing in 10th. If Austin Dillon can finish, okay, both of them can't finish 10th. Let's just say finish 11th. Both of them having 8 fast laps, 41.6. And what did I say Zane was going to get? 41.6 also. So 42. And then Todd Gillen gives me 44.8 by finishing in 15th. Let's just say 45 points. 426. What was the optimal lineups up here? 426 points. Optimal lineup, 477 to 426, 468 to 415, 457 and 501. Well, 426 doesn't quite get us there. It's as close though. I mean, that puts you in a cash lineup. So if that's kind of how I build these lineups. That's kind of the way I look through things. It's like, okay, what does this do? If this, then that. If this, then that. If this, then that. And I just keep kind of going. I keep putting different situations together. I mean, it's paid off. Made money. So I now have a YouTube channel, and I'll talk about it. Talk about it for way too long. I'm almost at 2 hours. Good. All right, Justin Haley, next in line here at 6,100, starting in 10th. He was 24.8 average finish. He was 12th in single lap, 5th in 10 lap consecutive average. I mean, he was pretty quick at the beginning. Okay. good job for Justin Haley. I missed that when I was kind of going through everything. It's been a crazy week. But starting in 10th, average finish at 24th. I think he's going to be like Carson Hocevar. He's going to start too far up. And I just haven't seen anything out of Justin Haley so far this year that makes me think that he could start 10th and finish 10th. And if he starts 10th and finishes 10th, what does that give us? 36.25. That's barely top 15. That's probably not going to cut it. So I'll fade off of Justin Haley. Oh, John Hunter Nemechek, starting in 32nd, has a 19.5 average finish and 18 for his total full race history. Okay, now we're talking. How his practice speeds? His practice speeds are actually really, really good. He just slipped over at the last 2 laps, slipped over the average. It was actually keeping up with Kyle Larson. And he's starting in 32nd. Ooh, we got some opportunities here. That's probably close to... Oh, he's got an average finish at 20th, so 39.5 points. He goes up and finishes 7th? 66.5. Is that right? Yeah. No, we won't finish 7th. That's too high. 12th. 55.5. That becomes even better than maybe the Todd Gillen, Austin Dillon, Zane Smith. Maybe take Austin Dillon out, put John Hunter in. Now we're getting closer. Mix and match. That's what I do. Cole Custer. Here's your Wyatt. Here's your pick. 5,900. Cole Custer starting in 33rd. Also won the Xfinity race here in the fall last year. So he knows how to get around this place. He has an 18th place average finish in the next gen era and a 23.5 total race history. And if we look at his lap speeds, he had a couple spots where he kind of slipped up a little bit, but for a whopping 5,900, we'll let him slip a few times. Especially starting in 33rd. All I need you to do is finish 20th or better. If you get to 20th, okay, giving that many fast laps is a little generous. Let's give him 10. Finishing 20th, that's 40.5. If we can get him up to 16th, 48.5. That's better than the other guys. Oh wow, we're starting to really build something here. We got Cole Custer we can pick from. We got John Hunter we can pick from that has potential. We got some sneaky picks with Austin Dillon and Zane Smith to pick from, and even Todd Gillen. Staying away from the Justin Haley, starting too far up. Ty Dillon is starting in 12th. I'm just not even going to go here. His average finish is 29.5. He was about average on speed, and starting in 12th, yeah, save some time. Skip over that. Jesse Love, good luck, Jesse. It's 500 laps around this place, buddy. I know you're young, dumb, and yeah, we won't finish the rest. Starting in 19th, just I don't even know where to put you as a finish. 28th, you can get 5 points. Yeah, I'm going to stay out of that. Corey LaJoie, who just does not have any experience this year other than super speedways, and we're going to go run at Bristol. And I mean, your practice speeds were okay. They weren't great. They were above average. You're starting in 37th. So, I mean, you've got some place differential potential. Maybe you get to 25th. That's 29.9. I mean, if you've really got to go dumpster diving, I mean, I guess I like Corey LaJoie better than Riley Herbst, who's starting in 25th. His practice speeds were, I mean, not bad. But Riley Herbst just has been on the bad luck train. I'm probably just going to stay away from that. 25th to 27th is a 14.8. I mean, Corey LaJoie could possibly get you for that price close to 35. That's tough though. It's better than Cody Ware. I mean, look at Cody Ware's 9 laps of practice. They were god awful. Even starting in 34th, he has an average finish. He's one finish of 17th. Big sample size there, Cody. I'm not even sure that was at the High Tire Wear track. High Tire Wear race from last spring, was it? Nope. Justin Haley finished in 17th in that race. So I don't even know when that race was. But yeah, not interested in Cody Ware. Have not been interested in Cody Ware. I'm not sure Cody Ware has passed Jimmy Johnson, who only has one race and points yet. And our newcomer Josh Bilicki was 39th. He was 38th in practice. No, no, and no, and no. Starting too far up. Yeah, probably the furthest I'm gonna go dumpster diving is probably Corey LaJoy, and that's, I mean, the top of the dumpster, but it's still dumpster diving. No for Jesse Love. So let's kind of look at who I think. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin are my two favorites for dominators. William Byron, Chase Elliott could easily have top 5 runs and have probably the best potential for starting a little bit towards the back and having a decent finish. Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece all have good potential place differential, along with also having, maybe getting up and leading a couple laps, or at least having some fast laps. I am not interested in Cody Ware, Shane Van Gisbergen, Josh Bilicki, Ricky Stenhouse, Jesse Love, Riley Herbst, Ty Dillon. I could play some Zane. I could play some Austin Dillon. Todd Gillen could be very intriguing and interesting. Eric Jones is also very interesting. I like the Cole Custer call by Wyatt from earlier tonight. Just need more of those. Noah Gragson also could be in play. John Hunter's definitely in play. Yeah, I mean, like these Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano's. I mean, even though Joey Logano's starting in 38th, it's just, for the price tag, it's a huge, huge pill to try to swallow to try to get up there and do anything. Yeah, that's all I've got for you. I don't like the Justin Haley play. Don't like the AJ Allmendinger play. Do not like the Carson Hocevar play. Michael McDowell's risky. Josh Berry is risky. Probably the best tire wear expert on the track, though. I will give him that. Ty Gibbs is also risky, even though he did lead a lot of laps last year, but he's having a little bit of a different year. This has been some growing pains. He is getting better, so there is potential there. Could be sneaky. Alex Bowman, it's really, really fast in practice and to get the pole. I'm not sure he goes out and leads much more than 40 laps, though. And I think you need more of a dominator, Alex Bowman. Not that I'm an absolute fade on it, but I'm not going to be super heavy on it either. All right, either way, we are at the end. We are at 2 hours and 2 minutes. This has been really long, and I knew it was going to be. I mean, practice was just absolutely crazy, and also I had some computer issues and everything else, but I'm going to go hit the sack. If you are still here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate you tuning in, and good luck tomorrow. It's going to take me hours to build lineups, but hopefully going through the process of what I just went through is kind of what I'm talking about. Maybe it's a Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin along with 3 of those cheaper drivers with one of the middle place drivers. Maybe it's a Chase Elliott with a Kyle Larson, or Chase Elliott with a Denny Hamlin, or a Chase Elliott with a William Byron, along with a Ross Chastain, along with Cole Custer. It's just start building the lineups and go, okay, what on the higher end can these guys get me without being too risk adverse? And just start building your lineups and go, okay, I need to get to 450 points. Can these guys do it? If I think Denny Hamlin is a 100-point getter. And once again, to get to that 100 points, they're starting up front. Optimal lineups have shown in the past, Denny Hamlin starting up front, starting in third, finishing first, leads 163 laps, gets you 110 points. Ty Gibbs, starting in 19th, led 137 laps. It's 10 spots of place differential at 137 laps. Christopher Bell, 115, Denny Hamlin 115. They both started up front, both finished up front, both led 140 to 180 laps. the fast laps are going to come when you lead that many laps. So I'm not necessarily worried about that piece. But that kind of gives you what you're kind of thinking about. It's, 11,008, 11,002. Then you got a Ty Gibbs that was not 7,900. And then you've got 3 guys under $7,000. I mean, it's almost the same people that we're kind of talking about. Not really, but price range. And just start building what don't go off of just like, oh, I think this person's going to do this. Well, actually do a little bit of research and go, okay, if I take Denny Hamlin, what do I need out of Denny Hamlin? Well, I need 100 points at that price tag. Okay, you need 10x or 9x. Well, you don't necessarily need a 9x out of Todd Gilliland. You need a 5x or 4x. You need 35, 40 points out of a Todd Gilliland. And that's just kind of how I start to construct and start to build. But sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it goes up in flames like today. Man, Sheldon Creed should have been an optimal lineup driver. And he gets spun and destroyed. And then half of my brackets are gone. Either way. That happens. Part of it. Either way. I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. Good luck tomorrow. Let me know if anyone hits. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, hit me up in the chat. We will see you. Next week's Easter. We are off. I've got a week off. I can fix my computer. I can spend a weekend building stuff in my attic that I've been trying to get to for a month, if I'm lucky. So nothing next week. Good luck. They do have the Rocky Cam race for Xfinity and trucks. If you're going to do those, good luck. If you have any questions about those, I will be running lineups in those. I just won't be doing a video. And then we head to, where are we after that? God, I don't even know. Cup Series schedule 2025. We head to Talladega. Yes. Talladega. Bristol, then Dega. Then we go to you know what? Then we go to Kansas, or then we go to Texas. Kansas, Charlotte. Mile and a half. Nashville, mile and a half. Oh, we get to some cookie cutters real quick after that. So enjoy these unique wild tracks, as it's gonna get Kyle Larson-y real fast. Enjoy the Ganos and Ryan Blaney's real fast. Either way, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Good luck. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so gotta be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day.
Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys.
Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal we got in here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.